Go back. Okay. All right. Ready, set. Hello and welcome to the second episode of Points of Interest with Joey Trana and Demetrius Minor. Today we got some heavy-hitting topics to talk about. So we're glad you joined us. Hope you'll chat with us and find us on Facebook and discuss things that we bring up today. But let me start out. Actually, we left the last episode telling people to go out to Arts in the Heart. So I hope you went. Unfortunately, I personally wasn't able to go, but I got a review from my family that was able to go, and you went.
Shame on Joey
I know.
for not going.
Tisk tisk. So
You missed the great
and
time.
I mean, when it comes around, you want to go every year. Basically.
do.
I mean, it's
You do.
it's nothing to miss. So
It's a good cultural event that's good for the community. It's good for the CSRA.
yeah.
And like
But
I
they
said-
did sing things a little differently this year, right?
Right. It was on Broad Street downtown, and it took up a large portion of downtown. But there was different types of foods, different types of booths. Different types of gift shops that promoted different kinds of culture,
And that probably, I mean, whenever it was being done more, closer to the river,
Right.
closer to the what's that area? The the fountain,
the Riverwatch.
the Riverwalk, yeah, and on the Riverwalk and
Riverwalk.
And so now, they put it downtown. It probably showcases the businesses. They're always there. And
Right. It was more convenient too. I mean, people had the opportunity to just walk up and down the street at their own leisure and to observe and look at the different shops and everything.
So you like this
to
format?
I liked it. It wasn't that much of a hassle or an inconvenience. So, Arts in the Hearts of 2011 was a success.
Great.
I would say.
Great. Well, all right. So we've got actually some national news. I'm sorry. Before we hit to the national news, since our last show, there was some disturbing news of violence that actually resulted in the death of a young woman that you knew
Right.
and graduated from high school.
Very tragic, Joey. And what happened was, I believe the name of the club was Club 5157, located off of Gordon Highway. And a young woman by the name of Ashley Brown, at the age of 27, there was a fight that broke out, and her friend was trying to get to safety, Joey. And she was shot in the head. She was not the intended target. And she died at the tender age of 27. I graduated high school with her, Academy of Richmond County, 2003. And I think what we need to do is promote unity and promote love and promote peace and denounce unnecessary violence such as this, Joey.
Absolutely.
Because it's not good at all.
Well, there's been an outpouring of love and sympathy for the family.
Right.
And apparently, this young woman, I mean, I'm friends with people that worked with her, and they're saying nothing but great things about her, her
Right.
attitude, the way she carried herself. And then, of course, I think we saw videos of family members. So, this kind of violence, whether it's intended for, whether it hits an intended target or not, impacts the community at large.
It does, Joey.
And it's a shame that we have to see these things on the 11 o'clock news. It's a shame that we have to go through this as a community. But if we don't shine a light on it, some things might not get done.
Right.
And
we want to promote unity, and we always want to encourage the community to bind together and to not always see the negative in people, but try to see the positive before another innocent life is taken.
Sure. And I mean, again, this is at a club. This is a place where people go to have a good time. Right. But we keep seeing these instances where.
But this place was located in the rough part of town too. So we also need to be conscious and aware of the surroundings as well.
I see. But and no matter where you are in Augusta, violence shouldn't be accepted.
Right.
Violence shouldn't be. It shouldn't just be okay or expected to happen. In certain places, we should all feel safe wherever we are.
Right.
Whether that means we need to support our public safety, whether that means we need to better educate young people, or whether these places that are meant for recreation for young people are able to become more secure.
Right.
Because
people are not going to go out if they don't feel like they're safe.
That too, absolutely. It's going to be better for business. It's going to be better for the community. And if we can go for some time without hearing about the death of another young person in this area, I think we'll all be better for it.
I agree.
We can get on to some good things.
Right.
So, But now we'll move over to
Move
to
on
national.
to the national news.
And-
GOP debate Thursday.
Thursday, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Orlando, Florida.
right on. And I think we're saying 9 to 11 p.m.
9 to 11 p.m.
Hosted by Fox News and Google.
Google. That's an interesting combination.
It is. It is. You don't put them together necessarily all the time.
Right. And
But
you have a chance to hear the presidential candidates once again. Real quickly, I had the chance to meet presidential candidate Herman Cain in Aiken, South Carolina last week. Really liked the guy. I thought he's a really genuine candidate. And it's a pretty nice campaign rally. We'll see what Herman Cain and the other presidential candidates have to offer.
now, is that an
at GOP
endorsement
debate.
from Demetrius Minor for Herman Cain?
Joey, I don't really know if my endorsement really helps a candidate. if it
Hey,
weighs
I
a
mean, if you
lot.
got it.
You never know. But I did like him. I
Okay.
thought he was genuine. I thought he was straightforward. And we'll just see how his candidacy and how the others do as the campaign moves forward.
Sure. I mean, he's not really.
He's not a
poll-
politician.
His poll numbers aren't really, showing
Right,
off.
right.
and,
He's kind of a dark horse, but,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not a politician. He's not a Washington insider, so that has advantages, and some people may consider that a disadvantage.
But he is an asset for, I think, the field, because when
yes.
you look at the field and you see a Southern black man running on the GOP ticket,
Right.
It
businessman,
says something.
too,
Well,
right.
a businessman also, but it says something about maybe the party, maybe the.
It's a presence that has to be recognized. His presence has to be known, and I believe that he brings a lot to the field. He brings a lot.
Now, he was? I'm trying to remember. He was Federal Reserve chair for. It was another state. It wasn't Georgia. Kansas.
I
Okay.
believe, right.
And then somehow or other ended up being
He was
CEO of the
of
Godfather's Pizza.
He served on the executive board of Burger King in Pillsbury. So he does have that businessman approach.
Now, and he's got a Tea Party He's got Tea Party backing, right? Is that genuine to say that?
Right. He has the backing of the Tea Party, and not just him, but Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann.
True, a lot of them, yeah.
Rick Perry, to a certain extent, have that Tea Party support. I do want to say that the Tea Party has not come out officially and endorsed a certain candidate, but those are the candidates who align more with the Tea Party platform.
And Herman Cain hasn't been nearly as controversial as some things we've heard recently from Ron Paul and Rick Perry. Actually, not even so much Ron Paul or Rick Perry, but their supporters in the past debates with the death penalty, or not the death penalty, but so much as the amount of people that have been executed in Texas.
Right.
And how it seemed like this Tea Party crowd was really excited about that. It was like, yay, death in Texas.
Well,
Or
it's an
than the
interesting point,
healthcare,
right? When it says, should an innocent person die, or should a person with no health care insurance die?
Yeah.
And then one person said, yeah. That was a very negative and inappropriate
Well, and they keep
response.
saying it was one person saying yeah, but I mean there was and then there was the applause of the entire crowd when.
I don't think it's fair to say that that's what those candidates themselves believe. I
Right.
think that's just the response of a
Just
very
their constituents.
ignorant person. Well, I don't know
people
who
voting for
I don't
them.
know who that person's pulling for. I don't know what that person represents.
Okay.
But I'm not going to nationalize the group as a whole and say that hey, they believe the same thing.
Sure.
But I mean, that's a common political attack. I mean, this is politics, and when something like that happens, of course, the other side is going to use it to their advantage.
Is it an attack so much as an observation?
Well,
I mean, we were all surprised. I was surprised.
Well, I was
I'm on the other
surprised.
side of it. I'm
Right.
I'm a lefty, as they want to call me, but
You are?
I'm a righty, but I'm a lefty. But
It's an observation.
I don't think it's an attack so much. I mean, because we were surprised. I mean, a lot of us
Right.
didn't expect that upon the news of so many hundreds of people being killed, being lethally injected for because of the death penalty,
Right.
whether that was going to be good news, worthy of an applause. But also, I think what that says about Texas is, well, you got a problem with crime down there. It seems like.
Well, some people are supportive of the death penalty. I guess this is going to lead into our next discussion. But it's a controversial issue.
Yeah.
And it's a very emotional.
And now
issue.
we're learning about they've had to stay a lot of executions because sometimes you don't get
Enough
sometimes
facts.
justice isn't served
Right.
before the punishment is announced.
And that leads into Troy Davis.
Right.
Right.
So that
And,
yeah, I see what you did there. Now, okay, let's get off my GOP man here. Okay, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be watching and listening and trying to see what comes of that debate, because every one of these GOP debates, man, something new is popping up, worthwhile to listen to. I mean, these are the guys trying to run the country next, so hey,
Right.
you got to pay attention.
That's right.
So Troy Davis now is local or more local news, state news in
The state of Georgia.
The state of Georgia in I'm trying to remember the 80s or.
I'm not sure of the time period,
Right.
but I know right now there's a man that is scheduled to be executed. There's a lot of
This
doubt.
evening.
This evening. There's a lot of doubt, and we want to be careful that we do not put an innocent person to death just based on eyewitness and not on enough forensic evidence.
Right, and even the eyewitnesses now have recanted a lot of their testimony, pinning Troy Davis to the crime of killing a police officer,
Right.
Off-duty police officer. And Troy Davis has always held up his innocence, and it feels like there should have been a retrial a long time ago, but we've been prolonging this death sentence for a good amount of time now. And actually they went to a review board for the state, and they denied the clemency. So if nothing else happens, if the government doesn't get involved, if there isn't any other legal way of staying this execution, we may be putting an innocent person to death this evening.
All right, and that does not go well for the American conscience. And I personally believe the death penalty should be abolished.
Okay, right. Which is probably, would you say that's a minority view among the GOP? Or?
It probably is a minority view, but I can't sit here and say that I'm pro-life, which I am, and support the birth of an unborn child, but at the same time promote the death of a citizen, whether they are guilty or not of the crime. I don't believe that the power of death should be, of that magnitude, should be in our hands.
Well, that's a great point, and because on the same, the righties typically are the pro-lifers,
Right.
and ironically are the pro-death penalties.
Right.
So it's an interesting.
And I don't have a
there,
problem with people who are pro-death penalty. I'm not going to put them on, label them as evil and or anything like that.
Me neither.
This is just my my belief.
I would say they're it's contradictory.
Right.
But
I think for me, if I'm going to say I'm going to be pro-life, I'm going to be pro-life on all levels.
Got it.
And even if someone has killed someone or has committed a crime of that magnitude, I think there's other appropriate ways of punishment than to take that.
Now, that's probably tied to, is that a religious sort of?
It's more of a spiritual, religious faith conviction.
Absolutely. Well, same here. And actually, I mean, with the "thou shalt not kill" is pretty.
Right.
Pretty,
but now
it's not "thou shalt not kill" unless somebody killed, somebody else.
Now on that same level, war happens, people in armed forces, and of course that's probably a different debate. But
sure.
Well,
I would say in war and things of that nature, you try not, it's more difficult to invoke "thou shalt not kill" because in war the killing is oftentimes on both sides, all over the place.
Right.
But no, that's a good point. And then you brought up crime, which the death penalty is in theory a deterrent to crime, but we find that in states where there are more executions this way, there's really no effect on crime. Crime is still high, and in states where there is no death penalty, crime is somewhat lower. And I think probably that has more to do with poverty rates, because in a state where you have more poverty, you're going to find more violent crime. And in a place like Vermont, where there is no death penalty and there are more affluent people, again, crime is low. So, maybe this argument of death penalties are good for society because they deter crime is losing its weight. And it's interesting for people like you and I who don't necessarily agree on everything. We come to this agreement on the death penalty. It's interesting to see how maybe when our generation is really impacting the electorate, really getting out there and voting, how we might be able to change these laws so that we don't have to talk about somebody who whose innocence or whose guilt has not been proven and whose innocence is more and more coming into light. Maybe we could save that life, if anything, and have justice served.
And that's what Points of Interest is all about: coming together for the common purpose. We're out of time, Joey. But,
okay.
Great discussion, and we will see you next time.
That's right.